admission in that Instagram post that he was in violation of the league's COVID protocol.
Yeah, he could face a suspension, Rachel, and these protocols are all new to the season, and we haven't seen the league have to punish anyone yet or to execute at least outside of the bubble. We saw what happened with Daniel House with the Rockets last year inside the bubble, but this is different, and this has been a recurring theme with James Harden leading into training camp, being in Atlanta, being in Las Vegas. And so, now he's self-isolated and tested negative, I believe, 6 consecutive days before he was allowed and cleared into training camp. But based on what their findings are, and I know the Rockets are working with the league on Harden, to see essentially if he's going to have to be away from the team again, and again, if there's going to be a punishment. So, there's a lot of uncertainty. And by the way, the Rockets open up tonight against Oklahoma City, and I'm told the Thunder have not really had any contact with anybody with the league or the Rockets about what this means for them in their game tonight.
It really is remarkable to see the dominoes. And Woj, you and our colleague Tim McMahon have done such great reporting on this all morning. I've been glued to both of your Twitter feeds. One of the things that came out was confirming, in fact, that sources told ESPN that James Harden indeed had coronavirus earlier this year. It is what made him late for the bubble. Of course, that was the assumption, but it had not been publicly confirmed. And it is my understanding, is it yours, that the league is telling players, even if they've had it, we don't know enough about how immunity from this disease works, that you can't just assume because you've had it, you can run around without a mask or publicly gather, correct?
That's exactly right, Rachel. The rules don't change for you if you have previously tested positive and now just have the antibodies, or you've yet to have the coronavirus. The rules in place are the same. And so they wouldn't be different for James Harden or any other player or individual in the league who's going to be tested and be around his peers.
Really, just every day I wake up and something new is happening in Houston. I know it's 10 times for you guys. Thank you so much for your insight, Woj.
Thanks, Rach.
We will be here all show. So if anything else more breaks, you know where to find us.
Okay, sounds good.
I want to welcome back in Vince Carter, Kendrick Perkins. Guys, I want to start with you, Vince. What is your reaction to hearing the latest news on James Harden?
Well, when I first heard about it, I was like, again? I was like, or is this the same, the
right.
original one? So, I mean, I know he doesn't want to be there, and, he's doing everything he can to get moved. But Perk has said this for a long time now, is Houston Rockets have the keys, and they could do with him what they want. And another thing that he said, that they don't have to move him to the team that he wants to go to. Mm-hmm. So with all of the back and forth and not showing up and going here and going there, they can send you wherever they want to send you and just deal with the consequences. Or, if he doesn't show up to practices, the games, and they play, they're going to continue playing with or without him. So he has to realize, I think if he wants to get moved, he just needs to just do what he needs to do. And I don't want to use the word model citizen, but just come to work, be the James Harden we all know, and increase his value so they'll move and cooperate with him. But right now, I don't see Houston cooperating with him, particularly if they don't get anything of value that it comes close to what he brings to the table.
Yeah, and Vince, Rachel, look, Vince is letting them off the hook pretty easy. This is bad. This is not good for several reasons. And one of those reasons is that, one, if you're trying to get moved, like Vince said, then you have to be a professional, because not only do the Rockets have the keys and they don't have to trade you, but it's a turnoff to other organizations, because I've been hearing from multiple GMs that they're scared of trading for James Harden, and it has nothing to do with his own court. What he does on the court is what he does off the court, and they're scared that if they trade him, that he's going to be a bad example in the locker room because of things like this. And here's another thing that makes me so mad about this. And I love James as a person, but he is burning down the bridge for the younger generation. It's guys like Barkley, Magic, Michael Jordan, all these guys who paved the way for guys like James Harden to be making hundreds of millions of dollars. And right now, the way that James is acting, he's acting selfish because for the simple fact, they have a younger generation that's coming up. And what's going to happen is the owners are going to go to the CBA when it's time to negotiate, and they're going to say, you know what, we got to discuss things like this. And you don't want to do that. You want to keep making it easier for the next generation of kids to be able to get paid hundreds of millions of dollars. So right now, I don't approve of anything that James is doing. And I saw his Instagram post. We're not trying to drag his name through the mud. He's creating these problems himself. We just have to address it.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I want to stress, the NBA in general, there's no morality thing here about its players going to strip clubs because, gosh, guys, that's been happening for quite a long time. It's right now in coronavirus. It's the same issue with, exactly, you've heard that once or twice, Vince. It's the same issue with Lou Williams. There was no morality judgment about, oh man, he was in a strip club. You just can't. It puts your teammates in jeopardy. It puts the rest of the league in jeopardy. It goes back to the selfishness that you're talking about. And that's often also really the issue here with the fact that he tested positive before. He's already been through all of this. I understand that for players who have tested positive, and I've heard this from other players around the league saying, well, I have antibodies now. Why do I have to be so limited in my personal life? Shouldn't that just apply to the people who haven't had it yet? It doesn't work like that. You have to think of the whole, not just of yourself. And that is what the NBA may be telling him in terms of a fine or a suspension later today. Yep.
And Rachel, I think these guys in general have to understand is that how disappointed will they be, or would they be, if all of a sudden Adam Silver and the NBA come out and say they have to cancel the rest of the season because of this situation, or so many guys have had, and now that everybody's in an uproar and you're going to start pointing fingers, and they did an unbelievable job in the bubble of not one issue with this. So now you're going to need everybody to buy in and show some discipline. And like you say, it's just not about just you, because it's the bigger picture. Because if they shut the NBA down again, everybody's going to be in an uproar.
Yeah.
So they got to think about that as well.
All right, guys, coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about the action on top. Of course, I would personally note that the issue the NBA is investigating isn't whether he was at a strip club specifically. It's being at an indoor gathering with a crowd of people without a mask, all of which is against NBA rules. And on top of all of that, we have breaking news on the jump. Here to give us the latest on the Rockets, our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. Woj, I want to get to Harden in a second, but you have a developing story here. Some of the other Houston Rockets who may not be available for tonight's season opener against the Thunder. What is going on?
Yeah, Rachel, the Rockets are conducting contact tracing on a few of their players, including a couple of their key players, beginning with John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and KJ Martin, their rookie forward. I was told tested positive, but they're testing him further for the coronavirus. What I was told was they were away from the facility in the last day or two, getting a haircut, and they were at an apartment of one of the players, and so it was Cousins and Wall and KJ Martin among them. There might have been another player there, but right now, because of that positive test for Martin, and the team itself announced just prior to us reporting that he had tested positive, that he was not with the team. He was self-isolating, like Ben McLemore, who we also reported tested positive a few days ago for the coronavirus. So also should note, our sourcing tells us that both Wall and Cousins have both tested negative today for the coronavirus. And so, that contact tracing, based on what else they find out with KJ Martin in terms of whether that positive test stands up, that could keep other teammates out of the lineup. The league essentially has some freedom with contact tracing with how long they would hold a player out. We saw with Mike Conley in Utah, based on proximity and to somebody who had it, they kept him away for almost a week.
Wow. Well, as if that's not enough to deal with, let's get back to James Harden, the allegations of him partying at a club. What would happen if the Rockets and the league conclude their investigation and find that Harden is indeed, as it